During my junior year of college, I got a call from one of my close friends who was in desperate need of pads to get her through her period. As most college students are, she was broke and could not afford to restock the menstrual products that she did not always have on hand due to her erratic cycle. I had switched to cups 2 years prior and thus doubted that I had any pads. She told me she would use tissue paper to tide her over and insisted that I didn't have to spend the little money that I had to help her out. Luckily, looking through my bathroom things, I found the holy grail of menstrual products in the form of a Ziploc bag full of assorted pads that I hadn't had the heart to throw away, even though I hate pads and never intended to use them. Yet I had this intrinsic need to hold on to these products that I would never use because the truth is that these products are not cheap. In fact, according to SWNS Media, the average woman spends $13.25 a month on period products. This might seem like a nominal amount to some individuals. However, SWNS continues by adding that this 13.25 monthly payment can add up to $6,360 during the average woman's reproductive lifetime, which is from about age 12 to 52. Having those numbers put into perspective might explain why, even if I never expected to need these products, I could not toss them because I knew that what it was like to need them and not have them. Those pads found a new home with my friend and were greatly appreciated. However, the fact that I was so hesitant to toss these products that had become defunct to me, combined with the fact that my friend struggled to afford menstrual products, highlights a global issue. This anecdote is a real world example of the crisis known as period poverty. Period poverty is defined as the inability of girls, women, and transgender and/or non-binary youth to afford period products such as pads, tampons, and menstrual cups. Menstruators without access to these products often turn to unsafe and ineffective methods of containing their periods, such as the use of socks, tissue, unclean rags, which, according to Science Direct, can put them at risk of developing reproductive or urinary tract infections. Unfortunately, period poverty is an underrepresented issue, and Americans who have heard the term likely assume that period poverty is an issue that only affects underdeveloped nations. What the masses are unaware of is that period poverty is a global issue that likely affects people in their own backyard. A 2021 study conducted by BMC Women's Health found that out of a sample of 471 college attending women across the nation, 14.2% of those women had experienced period poverty in the last year, and out of that sample, 10% of those women experienced period poverty every month. To learn more about this issue, I created a small scale survey which asked participants if they have ever experienced period poverty, and if so, to describe their experiences. Out of 10 people surveyed, 4 claimed to have experienced period poverty at some point in their lives. One participant admitted to shoplifting tampons in her early 20s during a time where she was very poor and found herself feeling furious and unsafe as a direct result of experiencing period poverty. Another participant recalled an instance where they used rolled up bathroom paper towels to make a makeshift pad to contain their cycle due to lack of funds at the end of a pay period. When recalling the moment, the participant explained how they felt embarrassed, especially since they were forced to ask other women for help, who also did not have spare products or spare money to lend them. The embarrassment that these participants described can be especially detrimental to younger people who are experiencing their first cycles. While surveying Redditors for this documentary on a Reddit group dedicated to people sharing their period experiences, I came across a Redditor who goes by the username Simple Kaleidoscope 3. Kaleidoscope informed me that she works as a puberty and human sexuality educator and would be happy to answer any questions I had for her. While Kaleidoscope informed me that they had luckily never experienced period poverty, they have directly worked with youth who have. I asked Kaleidoscope a modified version of the questions that I had asked participants who had personally experienced period poverty. Number 1. In your experience, how does period poverty affect the individual emotionally? Number 2. In what ways can society eliminate period poverty? Number 3. How do you think we as a society can team up to educate people on period poverty? Kaleidoscope said, great questions. I've worked as a puberty educator in a number of contexts impacted by period poverty. The primary population I have firsthand knowledge and experience working with who are experiencing period poverty are young adolescents. This further complicates an already difficult period of life transition. It leads to anxiety and self consciousness. It sadly also leads to missed days of schools and other activities. This leads to many tweens and young teens who menstruate feeling more awkward about menstruation than they otherwise would. At the school level, the simplest intervention is to provide free menstrual products in the bathrooms for all students. If you visit any food pantry, you'll hear that one of the most requested items is feminine hygiene, and it is also something that they struggle to source. Education is key to overcoming all forms of stigma. Sadly, even in 2023, menstruation is something many people feel shameful rather than what it as, rather than what it actually is. A healthy, natural, and normal part of life experience of those with uteruses during their fertile years. Kaleidoscope's wisdom paints a picture of how period poverty affects the individual and why the work of the organizations that we will cover in this documentary are so important. Unfortunately, while the past cannot be erased, there is hope for a brighter future where no one will experience what it feels like to have to go without period products, thanks to the works of organizations dedicated to fighting period poverty and achieving period equity on the local, national, and international levels. On a local level, Women in Training is a woman led Montgomery based organization whose mission is to achieve menstrual equity and end period poverty. Women in Training was founded in 2019 by twin sisters Brooke and Brianne and Brent Bennett, who were only 12 years old at the time of founding the organization. After experiencing period poverty firsthand while visiting their mother's classroom and seeing girls asking their mother for products, the girls decided that they wanted to make positive change in the world and ensure that nobody is forced to go without products. Women in Training aims to tackle period poverty in a myriad of different ways, but one of the primary ways that WIT aims to end period poverty is by the distribution of WIT kits. According to the organization, WIT kits are canvas bags that are filled with menstrual products, body wash, shampoo, lotion, deodorant, toothbrushes and paste, dental floss, comfort items like fuzzy socks and journals, and homemade bracelets. In addition to these items, since the COVID-19 pandemic began, WIC kits have also been upgraded to include personal protective equipment such as masks, gloves, and a bottle of hand sanitizer. We also lobbied for the House Bill 50, which mandated that Title I Alabama schools must provide free menstrual products to students in grades 5 through 12. The bill allocates $200,000 to schools to purchase these products. According to Alabama.com, approximately 45% of female students attend a Title I school, which are schools that receive additional funding from and typically service low-income or educationally at-risk students. The passing of House Bill 50 was a direct result of the hard work of Women in Training, who have been lobbying for a bill of this nature since their founding in 2019. The passing of this law makes Alabama only the seventh state in the nation to pass a law of this nature. Despite their success, the work of Women in Training is far from over. According to their interview with Alabama.com, their dream is to take Women in Training global and to get period product funding for other non-Title I schools in Alabama. Brooke stated that, "I feel like some Montgomery people never even leave the state, and so we really want to give Women in Training a place to take our people and go overseas to do community work that still focuses on period poverty. But not only are we doing that, we are still focusing on period poverty right here in Montgomery, and we want to push for getting more funding so that we can impact more than just Title I schools, because I'm sure a lot of schools across Alabama need these products." Nationally, period poverty is being tackled by Period, an award-winning woman-founded and primarily women-led nonprofit organization based in Portland, Oregon. Founded in 2014 by then 16-year-old Nadia Okamoto and classmate Vincent Ferran, Period has become a national and international organization with 400 active chapters in 44 states and 32 countries as of 2022. Period tackles period poverty by donating period products to other grassroots organizations, both nationally and internationally, and by organizing educational workshops on the menstrual cycle to help aid future generations in taking over the mantle of eradicating period poverty. Period has similar roots to Women in Training, starting off as a small youth-led organization donating purity products to those in need, and both becoming much larger organizations with hopes to end the period poverty crisis by lobbying for period equity laws. Period's plans for eradicating period poverty is threefold. Period proposes a multi-pronged effort to address these issues, calling for legislation to make period products as available as toilet paper in school and public bathrooms, more comprehensive studies on period poverty in young people, and medically accurate sexual education in schools. In 2022, Period's hard work and dedication to ending period poverty led to the advancement of 62 menstrual equity policies in 31 states, which includes 2 federal bills. In 2022 alone, Period was able to cover 1,027,645 menstrual cycles through their donations of both disposable and reusable menstrual products. Internationally, period equity organizations exist across the globe. However, one country in particular deserves recognition, as an entire country came together against period poverty thanks to the lobbying of one woman who did it without an organization standing behind her. In November 2020, Scotland passed the Period Products Free Provision Bill, which made it the legal duty of authority figures and educators to provide free period products to anyone who needs them. This law, which is important to note was unanimously passed, made Scotland the first country in the world to make period products free for all. With this bill, Scotland has effectively ended period poverty. This monumental undertaking was made possible by the dedicated lobbying of Monica Lennon, and a member of the Scottish Parliament, who has been lobbying for this bill since 2016. Period equity laws in Scotland have been slowly evolving since 2018, when Scottish Parliament passed a bill that required schools to provide free period products to students, like the law that Women in Training helped get passed in Alabama. Scotland's dramatic response to period poverty shows that change is possible as long as dedicated people are willing to fight for the causes they believe in.